What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Bearded Comic Bro. I am welcoming back Sean to the show, but Sean, you brought along a guest today with us.
I
Um,
did. This is my wife and co-author, Michelle.
that's right, and you know Sean from Cobra Kai, Karate Kid 3, the first two books that when we had Sean on talking about. Or you might know him from Studio City, the Emmy-winning show that you both are a part of, and I'm excited to talk to you about the Way
Thank
of the
you
Cobra
very much.
Couples.
Thank you.
Thank
So
I'm glad to be here.
yeah, well, a lot of my viewers, they read comic books, they've got into it from comic books, and they love a good origin story. So, what's
I,
what's your origin story?
well, we talk a lot about the origin story in the book and actually relate it to superheroes. It's like a thumbnail sketch of who you are to tell somebody who you are, maybe some of the challenges you've overcome, your backstory, and it's also a way for them to infer: is this a good match? Is this
Mhm.
somebody that I want to move forward with? I know you asked me about ours. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get. Um, we we actually met. I was out on a date with a girl who was a friend of Michelle's. This is all unknown to me. And at some point during the date, she said, "Hey, we're going to go pick up my friend Michelle." And I said, "Okay." And I met Michelle and realized that I was on a date with the wrong girl. And Michelle and I eventually went out to lunch together, and lunches lasted about 15 years.
All the details are in the book.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about it is that oftentimes in relationships, there's his truth, there's my truth, and then there's the actual truth. And so in the book, we have his version, my version, and then some text that, kind of goes down the middle. So when you look at it, mine is a different font and his is in a different font.
Yeah. Which is great because it really allows. What I love about this book is, Sean, your first two books are good, because we get the insight from you, but to get insight from both of you in this,
Yeah.
where did the idea come about of like, all right, you've already written two books, kind of how to better help yourself and improve your life. Where was this idea though that like let's bring in Michelle and do a couples book?
So I have to say that Sean has always thought about this book. He just literally was waiting in the wings to approach me with it because, normally authors do a book, they wait a couple years, they do another one. But Sean is just relentless. Like he has ideas.
I prefer prolific, not relentless.
He's an idea machine and he just, comes up with like 100 ideas an hour and usually 50 of them are good and the rest are passable, but so it's just there's not enough time in a day. So we always knew this was coming, and it really, he pitched it to me like, hey, we can save time, because everybody always asks like, how do you do this, like what is it that keeps you guys together, give us some secrets. And we were like, now we can just hand them a book. And I was thinking, yeah, that is time saving, let's do that.
I mean, the strategies and the philosophy and way the Cobra and Welcome to the Kumite are without a doubt effective if you put them to use in your life. And we said, what would it be like if we took those and applied them to a relationship?
Yeah.
Because, in the book, there's something that we talk about when we say there was a survey done and they asked a bunch of super successful people, what do you attribute your success to more than anything else? And I say, would it be going to an Ivy League college? It's not that. Would it be being born into generational wealth? It's not that. It's the choice of partner. And I know that for me, it's had such a profound difference in my life and who I am as a man, that we wanted to take the strategies from the first two books and see how we could apply them to relationships. But here's the thing. The book is not just for people in a relationship. It's also for people looking to get that really terrific, fulfilling, vibrant relationship. Because you talked about origin story. What people tend to do when they meet other people and go on dates is they get really concerned with being that shiny penny. I want to show you, the very, very best of who I am.
And not just the best of who I am, but also who I think you want me to be.
Yeah.
And because as you're getting positive feedback, you kind of just go with it. And so we wanted to give practical tools to sharpen the focus of what the relationship is about, so that
and
as
what you're
you go
looking for.
and what you're looking for, so as you go forward, you're not wasting time.
Yeah. I mean, I always say, like, you know, if you sit down with a girl and you say, hey, listen, I really want to have a nice quiet life, a white picket fence, 2 kids, and you know, take my kid to soccer practice, that's a lovely life. And that's great. But if you're neglecting to tell her that, you know, about twice a month you and the wolf pack go to Vegas, you're not really giving her an accurate origin story. You like comic books.
Yep.
So think about it. Like, we all know him as, you know, Truth, Justice, the American Way, the Man of Steel. But if you go into his origin story, Superman also obliterated a school full of kids. He's killed a lot of people. So, you know, depending.
But they were bad guys.
No, they weren't bad guys. That's the thing. And so the thing is, you know, both are true.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to sit down and tell everybody your deepest, darkest secrets and you know, where all the bodies are hidden.
We call that being emotionally slutty.
Right.
And it's in the that, you know, there are some exemptions that you can tell people that you don't have to tell people right away when you meet them.
Right. But you also want to give them enough of an honest picture, not just, you know, hey, look at my cape and the shiny S. Right. That, you know, sure, you have a great time for 3 weeks and then you wake up and go, what happened? I thought we were like really connecting. And the reason is that, you know, on some level they figured out that you weren't exactly who you were saying you were, and it just wasn't a good fit.
But also, you know, we don't want to condone throwing it all out there and being, you know, lackadaisical about the relationship and just kind of like, hey, this is how I am, I'm not changing. A relationship is a merging of 2 people. So there is compromise, and you do have to find commonalities. And, you know, you may have to change some things, like living in your mom's basement. It's really not conducive to having an adult relationship unless your mom's like really down.
Right. Well, and one thing I love about this book, I could have used this a long time ago before I met my wife, but it is a process of, you know, it's work, right? Like, you're figuring out how to set yourself up for, you know, to improve yourself. Just like the previous 2 books, you want to put your best foot forward. And you early on, you guys both mentioned a little bit about this idea of soulmates, where, you know, it's not just this cosmic thing that's out there that like, oh, you find the one perfect person and everything's gonna be right. Like, it still's gonna take constant working on yourself for it.
You know,
Absolutely.
I talked about the movie Jerry Maguire, and I said, look, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, but Jerry Maguire caused a lot of confusion among people because the line "you complete me" implies that you need another individual to complete who you are, and that is absolutely not true. You know, what you want to try and find is a partner who allows you to become the very best version of yourself. And, you know, I say in the book, the right one will make you, the wrong one will break you. And I had the wrong one, and I was not the guy that's seated before you right now. And so it's not that Michele completed me, but she brought out the very best in who I am. Whereas in other relationships, that didn't happen.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. That's very true. And I think the other thing, we have this chapter in the book that is called "Blame Does Not Exist in This Dojo." And I think that it's very important and helpful, because a lot of times you go into a relationship and you start to become adversarial of like, well, you did this and I did this, and you go into this blame, and blaming is shaming, and you get into this cycle of whose fault is it, and you lose sight of just fix it. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, what are you going to do if you blame somebody and let's say you absolutely can pinpoint it's your fault. Now what? Do you get time out? Do you get a little spank? Like, what is it? You know, it becomes a parent-child relationship, and there's nothing sexier than dating your mom. So, you know, it de-romanticizes the relationship. So problems need to be problem solution, not problem blame solution.
Yeah, and you both talk about that in the book a lot, of how much communication plays a role in and how you communicate. And, you know, even go into a section on fighting a little bit too, of, you know, like, what's the why in the midst of the fighting? Like, what are you really trying to get? Because, like, if you win in this argument, do you really win?
Right, exactly. And obviously there are things that need to be adjusted. You know, no one person is always right and correct in their path. It's not just like this acquiesce love fest. You know, you really, there are issues that you have to look at, but you have to look at them from the perspective of, okay, how why are we doing this, and why is it going in this direction? Because one of us is unhappy, so how do we change this dynamic to make it so that we're both happy, instead of you said this and you always do that, like that.
But not getting into winning. You know, you got to remember at the end of the day, the solution is for you both to be happy together, not for one person to have moral high ground and feel, you know, superior, righteously vindicated. It's like, how can we make this relationship, you know, hum?
We jump right into little Timmy's sandbox, which is, you know, your relationship is a sandbox, you know, that you both play in the sandbox and you have to abide by rules. And so all the sand that you play with on top is the nice, happy feelings that are warmed by the sun and everybody's all happy. And then eventually you dig down and get that like mushy, dark, dirty sand that has bugs in it. And that's kind of like all the baggage you come with. And so it gets stirred up. There's a lot of times that, you know, you do things and you don't even know why you're doing that. And it comes from things that you did. And that's the work that you have to do. You have to kind of analyze, why am I doing this? Like, Sean is an awesome actor. He's amazing. And his voice is very hypnotic. However, I just cannot retain information when somebody reads it to me. And he just so loves it so much. And he kept reading it. And every time he would read me something, I would just glaze over and nod. And he would get upset. And I would say, where is this coming from? You know, why do you feel like you have to read this to me? Can you just give it to me and then I'll give you feedback? And he realized that, it was, you know, he's an actor, he delivers. And so it's that instant feedback. So I was like, okay, here's my compromise. If you give me the paper and I can read along with you, then I can pay attention. And then we'll be okay. It's not me rejecting you. It's me my brain doesn't do that. And so that one little tweak really like made the book fly along so fast. And it also helped us to kind of connect on that point.
Yeah. Where was it in the process? I guess, how was the process then for you of, you know, you've worked together, but writing a book, I feel like is probably a completely different task than, other things that you've worked together on. What was that like of trying to figure out how to, you know, write the story at the same time? Or was it like you wrote a little bit and then was it collaborative or?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't sit over each other's shoulders writing. It didn't work that way.
Stop it. I love sitting over his shoulder like this though. But we came up with an outline of everything that that a book needed. Yeah. And then we kind of said, okay, what do you want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? And then we did best idea wins. And so in the book, we always knew that we were going to have his voice and my voice. So we, you know, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, during the process, we realized we aligned so much that there were only a few places that we had his in mind. So, you know, we kind of did that.
Yeah, we delegated, you know, there were times that, you know, I would write something and Michele would kind of tweak it, and then she would write something and I'd tweak it. Yeah. And it worked out. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is one of those books too that it's an easy read, but it's a challenging read because you're doing a lot of soul searching in yourself, or I hope so. If you're looking at this book trying to grow, you know, there are times where you have like these quizzes of like how you respond to stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do bad.
Yeah, but it's not about doing bad. You know, there's no right and wrong. It's self-awareness and giving you information and stuff to do some critical thinking
and getting to know yourself.
It's not about your relationship's wrong and bad. It's just look, no one's relationship is perfect. Life is messy.
Yeah.
And that includes ours.
Yeah.
And it's just figuring out, what can I do to make it better? You know, relationships are organic living things, and they are either growing or they are withering. Mm-hmm. And you got to work at it.
Yeah.
That's the work part.
Even now, after being together for 15 years, we're still learning stuff about each other. And, you know, we still have these dynamics that we slip into. And, you know, one of the things that the overriding sentiment of our relationship is communication. You know, one of the tools that we have is the day meter, because so many times I would hear this man say, I'm a lot of things, but I am not a mind reader. So you need to tell me. And a lot of women are really trained from an early age to not really speak up and to, talk about things and, not to really develop what's going on in their head. And they just expect their husband to figure it out and kind of respond appropriately. And then when they don't, they get their feelings hurt.
What's interesting about that, it's just a bit of an epiphany, is that, women are sometimes encouraged to be a little less heard than seen. Although I think that's changing, which is good. But men are also encouraged that way too, but it's just, it's different in that it's with their emotions. Do you know what I mean? So it requires mind reading by both people.
Exactly.
If you realize that both people are suffering from the same sort of handicap,
right?
It just manifests in different ways.
Exactly.
Once you realize that really it's just two sides of the coin,
right?
And if you can both articulate better what your needs are, your feelings are, it's so much better for the relationship.
So that's where the day meter comes in, because it occurred to me that men.
You gotta explain what it is.
I'm getting there.
Good.
Hang on, I got it.
Bring it full circle, man.
Okay, tap the brake. So the day meter is. It occurred to me that men often communicate via sports. And, like a dad and a son, like they probably can't get together with like, gosh, dad, you were really hard on me. But it's more like, hey, this sports game. And they just kind of bond over it. So I was like, okay, what's the mechanism? A day meter. So you show up and you say, hey, today I only have 20%. And Sean will tell me, well, I have 50%. So I know that's not going to be a super effective day. And I know to kind of give him some space, and he knows to give me a lot of space. And so some days we're both at 100 and we're but like, okay, let's, take on the world
on fire.
Yeah, and we do. And it's really helpful to do that, because those little tiny micro arguments of like, well, you didn't wipe the counter off. Oh, well, you didn't rinse your cup out. Like they alleviate, because
I just like to say that I both wipe the counter and rinse my cups frequently. I actually enjoy doing dishes.
Really, but I'm awesome at laundry.
See, that's perfect. And that's one of the beautiful things, like, is, you're talking about how important communication is, and that was, it was told to me early on, let your yes be your yes and your no's be your no's. Like, and so when you're having that communication, and because you can't figure that out. And I know one of our I'd leave a wrapper on the counter when the trash can's right there. Bothered my wife, but I never knew that it was a bother because we didn't communicate that. And so once we read that, I'm like, oh, well, that's an easy fix that I can do. But that's why, that whole chapter that you guys really both focus in on the importance of communicating what you need to your partner. And then the willingness to listen, though, too, is also, I think you both mentioned how important that is.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that wrapper, literally, it's just like fuel for women. You sit and grind on it for hours. Like, he just doesn't respect me enough to get it in the trash. And then as I'm having that, he's having this axe grinding of, she just doesn't respect me enough to rinse her cup out. And, it goes both ways. And when you realize you're both feeling that way and neither one of you are doing it on purpose, you kind of just go, okay, I'll rinse my cup. And the next time you don't rinse your cup and you go, I realized I didn't rinse my cup and I apologize for that. But, I did get you a song for your birthday.
But having that communication allows that these little fights that the internal fights you're already having in your head don't manifest, because you're able to diffuse that situation.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this book is so valuable, because like you said, you don't have to be in a relationship to enjoy this book. You're just providing yourself with tools to set up to say, like, like I had even said earlier, I was like, I know I'm going to do bad on this quiz. It's not about being bad. It's having tools in your toolbox to say, how can I grow as a person? And I think that's an important aspect for someone that if they're trying to pick this book up, if they are in whatever stage of life they're in, married, single, dating.
And and the thing about this book is it follows the same pattern as the first two books, that I'm the sensei, you're in the dojo, but now, Michele is the co-sensei, and it's a fun read. I mean, it's not preachy.
I thought it was a full sensei.
You're a full sensei, but you're just it's not preachy, and the idea is that we're sort of learning and figuring it out right along with our reader, and we wanted it to be something that was fun, enjoyable.
Yeah. And it's not, we're not putting anybody on Front Street. It's, every relationship should have a sense of humor in it. And if you don't have a sense of humor in your relationship and you can't laugh at things, then you have a bigger problem. And you need to sit back and go, why isn't this fun anymore? And
here's the thing. If you take the time to buy this book, first of all, Michele and our 5 children, thank you. But it means you're on the right path. The fact that you're taking positive action to try and improve your relationship, right there, it says something about who you are. So many people sit in the problem instead of taking effective, positive action.
And just to be clear, we're not looking for people who think there's a problem in their relationship. This isn't about problems. This is about turbocharging your relationship. This is about striving for excellence in your relationship. You don't have to read this if you have a problem. You should read this and, do a victory lap and do some high fives, because this is just, leveling up.
So many relationships, if you look at them from the outside, you make one little minute tweak or adjustment, and it has a monumental effect on the quality of the relationship. It's kind of the concept of, if a plane starts flying 1 degree in the wrong direction, it's not a big deal for the first 30 seconds, but in 3.5 minutes, it's a major problem. And just sometimes you need someone to look at your relationship from the outside and go, I see the thing. I see the critical flaw, if you will. And if you guys can just tweak this little thing, it's going to make such a huge difference. And you go, and you know what? You could probably do that with our relationship. You could probably go, Sean, Michele, I see this one thing you're doing, and I thank you. When you're in it, when you're in the mix, it gets difficult to see it. And that's why, as an actor, for instance, people always say, well, it is important when you have a director, don't you know what you're doing all the time? And I know what I'm doing as an actor all the time, but sometimes what I'm doing might not be the exact best thing. And that director is able to look with a fresh set of eyes, and with a small tweak, suddenly, back on track.
Sweet of you to say that.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Yes. Okay. She's saying that she just directed me in something. So, which by the way, I was phenomenal and didn't need to be. No, okay.
Wow. So one of the other things I think we need to talk about is resentment, because resentment's a relationship killer. And, one of the things we say in the book is, I try to be good, but he makes me do bad things. And that's my way of dealing with resentment, where, you have to go into a relationship realizing that the person that you're with is not out to get you. And that's really becomes such a central focus. Like the wrapper on the counter, it always becomes, like you just, after the first couple times, you're like, oh, it's okay, it's cute. And then suddenly it's like, well, he's doing it on purpose. Right. And you have to take that out. And that's why, when Sean does things that he knows bothers me, I take action and I prank him in some really obnoxious way to make my point. And he's just like, all right. And so it becomes fun, and it becomes...
So it's not always fun.
It's always fun. I have to be honest, it's always fun for me. And I have to say that there's times that I prank him, and Sean, being an actor, is awesome. He really commits and lets me think that I'm really winning when I know that he's on to me. But it's great. It's like this game that we play to remember that, we're in this together. We're not out to get each other.
Yeah. Well, I want to respect both your time, because I know you're busy people. Is there anything that we haven't hit on this book that you want parting words on the book that you'd like to share to people?
I'd like to mention that my name is first.
You know what? I have to tell you, if you liked or loved the first 2 books, and it's amazing for me when people I don't know come up to me and say, hey, I read the book and it had a profound effect on my life. I really believe that this book has the ability to, it has the ability to reinvigorate your relationship, and if you're single, help you find the one. So it's available on Amazon, Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com. And if you'd like an autographed, personalized copy, go to wayofthecobra.com.
And you can see updates on it in real time on Instagram and maybe some on X, but mostly Instagram and Facebook. We also answer our DMs on Instagram.
So if you read the book and you have a question, let us know.
I'm at Michele.Kanan on Instagram.
And I'm at Sean.Kanan.
And we also, on our website, if you really are vibing with the book and you really want to discuss, or you have some issue and that you're not finding help in the book, we do coaching.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, the website is great. And I will say, I did notice something on the website there. Some new hot sauces here.
Yeah,
Bad Boy Hot Sauce.
Yeah, Bad Boy Hot Sauce, man. I'm so excited about this. This stuff is fantastic. There's 3 flavors: Cobra Venom, which uses the Carolina Reaper, and that is real hot, and Mango Madness, which is sweet and delicious and tropical without the sugar, and Red Pepper Punch, which has more of a Mediterranean pepper flavor, not quite as hot as the Cobra Venom. And people are going nuts for this. Started getting commercial orders for it. And in the coming year, we expect it to be in a lot of big box retail stores. Right now, you can get it on wayofthecobra.com. And I'm having so much fun with this. I really am.
What was the catalyst for wanting to dip your toe into creating your hot sauces?
Well, my first book was a cookbook. It was The Modern Gentleman, Cooking and Entertaining with Sean Kanan. So I love cooking. Love hot sauce, not as much as Hillary Clinton. Don't keep it in my purse, but I do love hot sauce.
What is that in your purse? And I have to say, when Sean and I first met,
my hot sauce collection.
He had a huge hot sauce collection, and also he made me chicken parm, and there was literally nothing in the fridge. Like, he would come to my place and I would have like a rubber band and popsicle sticks, and he'd make a gourmet meal. And I was like, wow, I need to marry this guy.
It's great. We're really we're excited about it. We're going to be branching out into beef jerky. And beef jerky. And I hope everyone will try it. It's delish.
Yes.
All right.
Well, gang, and as always, you can find Sean on Netflix checking out Cobra Kai, or you can check out both of them on Studio City, wherever you stream stuff, which we just binge watched that this weekend, my wife and I did, and
thank you,
loved it. So
thank you. Yeah, one more thing I want to plug. I have a TEDx coming out probably in about the next 3 weeks, which I'm really, really excited about. Flew down to Dallas, did a TEDx. It's largely based on the philosophy and strategies from my books, and it was kind of a bucket list thing, and I'm really proud of it. Can't wait for everybody to see it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you both again so much for taking some time.
I wish you all the best, and I hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday.
Will do. Take care and enjoy.